Guys, we got a 2019 Silverado here. Customer says it has a collapsed lifter. They actually went to the dealer and got it diagnosed, said it has a collapsed lifter. This is an L84, which means it has all active lifters, not just, half active, half non-active. But still, same thing, it's a 5.3. I'm not even sure which bank is misfiring yet. I'm gonna pop the hood, start it up. It's been sitting here a few months. See which side is misfiring. We're gonna do a rebuild on that half of the engine and get this truck up and running again. So let's see which one is misfiring. All right, the other way I can tell that it's on this bank is because I look at cylinder 6 misfire. It's running right now, 176 misfire since I started the truck. So I know it's definitely cylinder 6 that's misfiring. Now cylinder 6 is on this passenger bank. These are the even number cylinders, these are the odd number. So cylinder 6 is the third cylinder back. Now sometimes you can run the truck, put your hand right here on this valve cover and also hear it louder over here, that ticking noise. But yeah, you want to verify where your misfire is coming from before you tear this thing out. As far as tear down goes, obviously air box, all these extra things, serpentine belt, alternator. We're going to get this intake off. We're going to get this valve cover, coil packs off. So let's begin that. Where we begin, here is all the parts. We went to the dealer, got all the lifters, lifter trays, push rods, head bolts and head gasket was from AutoZone. Coolant, oil, takes 8 quarts of oil. Gonna need some shop towels. I also have my box right there. One roll might not be enough. There's a lot of cleaning that goes into it. But there's the parts, guys. I recommend getting these lifters from the dealer. Lifter trays, you can buy Melling ones from AutoZone, but I bought mine from the dealer. Head gasket, head bolts don't matter, just Felpro or whatever, dealer or AutoZone. So yeah, but definitely important to get these from the dealer. You're gonna pre-soak those in oil. But yeah, let's begin tear down on this truck. Guys, pardon the landscaping noise. To get this alternator, this bottom left bolt is actually too long. You have to remove the fan, the 3 T25 bolts on the fan to get this bolt out. So now we got the alternator out. We're gonna move on to the intake. All right, guys, whatever side you're working on, take all the electrical clips off, coil pack clips, unhook all these little Christmas tree pins out with the pry tool out of the intake. There's 10mm bolts, I think 5 on each side, that hook up this intake to the engine. Pull those bolts off, we'll get this intake out of here. All right, guys, we got this intake manifold off. There are a couple of sneaky plastic clips you gotta pry off on the back of the intake, and then it'll come right out. Here is this bank. Obviously, it's more exposed now, so we gotta get these coil packs off. They're just 10mm bolts. And I wanna get this valve cover off so I can inspect that cylinder 6 rocker arm and make sure, it's really has the collapsed lifter under it. And then we'll go ahead and just focus on this side of the head and ripping it off. So next thing we're gonna do is these coil packs, valve cover. Guys, I got this valve cover off. I was expecting to find a loosey-goosey rocker arm, one that just had a whole ton of play, so you knew, back on cylinder 6. But they're all tight, but obviously the data is enough for me. Even look at this intake port, you can see how it looks different than all these ones with firing cylinders. So cylinder 6 is definitely our problem child. So let's go ahead with these rocker arms. We'll take them off, keep them clean in a clean place, and know exactly where they came off because they're gonna put them back on the exact same order. So this is your rocker arm, 8mm bolt. It's only torqued to 22 foot-pounds, so it's easy to just use an electric ratchet and zip all those off. This fuel rail is gonna stay on the cylinder head along with the injectors, but you do have to remove these fuel lines out of the way with just a crescent wrench. But yeah, the rail stays on the cylinder head. Okay, keep tearing it down, guys. All right, guys, I forgot to mention the wiring harness for the injectors. Unclip all those. There's Velcro straps, 3 of them on this fuel rail. Undo that Velcro. Pull out the wiring harness for the injectors off to the side. I got 2 of these rocker arms out to show you. Keep them in order again, and then you can pull the push rod out. Keep the push rod with that rocker arm. You don't want to mix them up. The other telling clue for a cylinder 6 misfire is look at this intake port where the injector sits, caked in unburnt fuel and oil, and that's because those valves aren't opening, and I guess it's the intake one. And yeah, it's just coating that with unburnt fuel and oil. All the rest of them, oops, sorry about that. All the rest of them do not have that. So yeah, keep rolling away here. Take off these other rocker arms, push rods. We'll get these coil packs out of there. As these exhaust manifold bolts are really tricky. They're 13mm on the side of the head here, and you got to work them back and forth. They're really prone to snap. I loosen mine a little, tighten them a little, loosen them a little, tighten them a little. That breaks free the rust. See, several of mine are loose end. It's taken me a while to work on them, but there's yeah, you got to be patient with these so you don't break them. They should have made them thicker or a different grade or whatever, something stronger. So get these exhaust manifold bolts off, and then to get the head bolts, I'll show you a trick that we're gonna do next. That's how you do it. I'm really excited I got all 5 out without breaking them, stripping them, chewing anything up. Really excited about that. All right, here's that trick for those head bolts. So you see how the exhaust manifold here is kind of in the way of these bottom head bolts right there. So you take a ratchet strap and you tie it around the exhaust manifold to the frame and cinch it down, and it pulls this exhaust manifold to the left a few inches off the cylinder head, so there's plenty of room to get those bottom row of head bolts. That's the trick. Guys, so I got my exhaust manifold pulled to the side with that ratchet strap. Look how much access room I have to these bottom head bolts. So next step is the head bolts themselves. They're 15 millimeter. There should be 10 of them. On this car, well, on any head that you remove, you want to start in the middle and work your way out as you loosen them. Just loosen them, you know, quarter turn, and then go in a cross pattern, inner to outer, and that'll just keep even pressure on the head. Once you get them loose enough, just zip them out of there, and this cylinder head will be ready to be pulled off. I do believe there is a ground strap connected to the side of the head right there, so get that off as well, and then we'll get these head bolts off. All right, folks, so we got all of our head bolts out. These are trash. They're torque to yield, so you cannot reuse them. Now that the head bolts are out, our cylinder head is ready to come off. We got all the grounds off, double check everything. Even this dipstick tube is the 13 millimeter bolt, get that off. So it's ready to be pulled off. Obviously you need a drip tray under your truck because coolant has been dripping out by now. So yeah, let's yank this cylinder head off, have a clean place to set it down, and yeah. All right, guys, when pulling this cylinder head off, they have a sneaky little electrical connector that clips on right there and right there. So pull that off as you're removing the head. So we got it off in a clean space. We're going to obviously inspect and clean it later, but this is what it looks like. This is the truck side of things. Head gasket here. You can see those lifter trays and lifters, and that's that back second to last one. That's cylinder 6. Where we have the treble lifter. So anyway, pull this head gasket off. We're going to clean it, wipe it down. There's some coolant in these cylinders. You could rotate the engine over and get that coolant out if you want, or you can just use paper towel. So yeah, get cleaning. Guys, I normally actually clean before I pull out these lifter guides and lifters, but I'm really curious to see this cylinder 6 set of lifters. So I'm going to pull them out now. There's a 10 millimeter shoulder bolt. They're not very tight. You need to save those. They're specific to this guide in this place, so save that 10 millimeter bolt, reuse it. So pull those out, and you might need some pliers to pull these lifters out. Again, remember where everything went. If you're only going to replace your one lifter, I recommend replacing all the lifters from the dealership on this side that you have opened up while you're here. Cheap insurance, it doesn't happen again on this side. But pull these lifter trays, pull the lifters, keep them in the same orientation you pulled them out, and let's inspect them. There's a bad culprit, guys. This cylinder 6 here, it stayed in the truck when I pulled the tray, whereas every other one came out with the tray. But look at that. That alone is enough to cause that misfire. So that was cylinder 6 intake. I knew it was intake because the intake port was coated with unburnt fuel. So that valve was not opening because of that guy. So anyway, let's clean the engine side of things. Prep the cylinder head, and well, we'll have to install these new lifters and new guides before that, but let's just clean and spend some time doing that. Guys, I forgot to mention, you want to clean these cylinder heads as best you can with the razor blade. Be gentle, clean them off good, not like this. I'm only halfway done. I just barely wiped it down. Use a razor blade, use some brake cleaner on those blue shop towels. But these engines are forgiving with the head gaskets. Honestly, I tested a stock truck with stock head bolts once, and they were torqued at 105 foot-pounds. So nothing really crazy, but still do the best you can. We need to put these lifter trays in eventually after we're done prepping. Now's a good time, or even like an hour ago, to soak your new lifters in oil. Put them in the oil for this truck, I believe it's 0W20, and soak them to let those internal passageways just fill with oil before we install them so that they don't go in the truck dry. So do that and keep prepping and cleaning your surfaces. Guys, one of the most important things about this job is cleaning out these bolt holes from coolant, mostly the bottom row, but all of them. They will get coolant when you pull the cylinder head. Look at this coolant passage. It's just dripping coolant into that bolt hole. So the most important thing to get a good head gasket seal is cleaning out those bolt holes. Normally with an air compressor and an air gun, put it in and spray it out. You can wind up shop towels real fine and thin and shove them down there with a screwdriver several times until you get a dry towel on the way out. That's how you know it's dry. But mostly shop air, so do that. Do not forget to do that, or you will not get an accurate torque reading on those head bolts. Two other things I forgot to mention. Number one, pay attention where your cylinder head dowels end up. Mine stayed in the block. If they end up on your head, maybe swap them over to the block. Next thing, wherever that bad lifter came out of, inspect the cam lobe. Get a borescope, camera with a flashlight, however you want to do it. Get it down there, inspect the cam lobe, make sure it's not scored up, because then you're going to have to do a cam. Thing to add is that your camshaft should not be scored up if you did not drive it very long. If the truck started to misfire and you drove it for a month, yeah, you might have an issue there. But you know what? If you drove home 5 miles, parked it, got it figured out, and didn't touch the truck until you repaired it, then that cam lobe is probably fine. Don't listen to anyone who says you got to do a whole new cam just because the lifter went out. I mean, mine looked good. This guy only drove for 2 miles before it was parked, okay? So it's not necessary. Guys, we're about ready to put our lifters and our lifter trays in the truck. Here's the new lifter tray part numbers from the dealership. Here's the new lifter part number from the dealership. And on this truck, the L84, they're all active lifters. So all 16 lifters are the same, but just 8 on your one bank. All 8 lifters on that side are the same. And the trays are the same as well. There's no different part numbers like on the older 5.3s. So same tray part numbers, same lifter part numbers, 2 new trays, 8 new lifters. We'll put them together now. They should be pre-soaking in oil for a while now, the lifters. Put them back together. Obviously follow these grooves. The lifters have a groove on them. They sit in the tray that way. Reuse your shoulder bolt. All right, guys, we double checked our bolt holes, make sure they're all dry. Went ahead and slapped this head gasket on, wiped it, the block surface again, obviously. Clean, 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 that's the name of the game. We're gonna wipe down the cylinder head, lay that on top. Again, make sure your dowels are in place. Those little shoulder bolts for the lifter trays, they go to 22 foot-pounds. Make sure all your lifters are seated. I just give them a push with my finger. Yeah, we're ready to lay the cylinder head on and then put in these head bolts. With the head bolts, I do something that I've never seen, and I take a wire wheel with a drill and I drill off the Loctite on those head bolts. I don't care what you guys say, that's what I do. And that way I can also take the bolt and run it down with my electric ratchet down to the hole, make sure it bottoms out and all the moisture comes out with it. So I know my bolt holes are completely dry. So anyway, I don't care what you do, but that's what I do. So we'll throw the cylinder head on, throw these bolts in, and we'll get going to the head bolt torque sequence. All right, all I've done is set the cylinder head on the gasket. I'm about to take my bolts and put them in the hole, and this is where I ground off that Loctite. So yeah, I'm about to take my bolts and put them in the hole. Now I'm gonna get a rag with a little bit of oil on it and just oil up these threads, help with the torque thing, the torque sequence. But here's what you need to know and understand. When torquing down a cylinder head, there's a pattern you have to follow. So it goes like this. It starts in the middle and works its way out and from side to side. So the very middle bolt hole is bolt hole 1. The one across from it is bolt hole 2. And then you go down 3, up and over 4, down and over 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Something like that, guys. And I'll give you the numbers, the foot-pounds and the degrees for this specific vehicle and engine. But look up for your engine because it might be different. But I'll give you the torque sequence foot-pounds. But yeah, so put these bolts in. Get a little bit of oil on the threads. Go ahead and bottom them out by hand. Make sure they're bottomed out with not any pressure. Just that's a good base to start with before we start tightening them. Finally, guys, the head bolt torque sequence on this truck. Again, this is bolt number 1, 2, 3, 4. Go in cross pattern. Use the common sense there. The torque sequence is the first pass is 59 foot-pounds. So you do your 59 foot-pounds on all 10. And then the second pass is 90 degrees. And the third pass is a final 60 degrees, and all those head bolts will be torqued. I'll show you a trick on how I measure my degrees and how I torque mine. Guys, first pass is done, 59 foot-pounds. Here's the trick that I do for the final 90 degree pass and then the 60 degree pass. I take this Sharpie here. I go ahead and I Sharpie on every one of the bolt heads a line pointing towards 12 o'clock. And then when I do my second pass, that line's gonna end up pointing at 3 o'clock. And when I do my final pass, it's gonna end up pointing about 5 o'clock, almost 6 o'clock straight down, 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock-ish. But that's your general 60 degree final pass. So that's what I do. Yes, you can buy a special torque wrench with a, degree wheel on it, whatever. These are pretty forgiving, like I said. Draw a line on half the bolt's head facing towards 12 o'clock. Do your 90 degrees, it's gonna end up this way. Do your other 60, it's gonna end up this way. So there you go, guys. All right, guys, there's that second pass. Like I was telling you, all my lines are at 3 o'clock position. So there's my 90 degrees. Go ahead and do your final 60, not quite as much. But like I said, it's gonna kind of end up at this angle. That's where your line's gonna be, about 5 o'clock position. All right, guys, congratulations. You are now officially on to the very easy part of putting it back together. You got most of it done. All the easy stuff is last. I put these injector harness on with the Velcro. Don't forget all your cylinder head grounds, one on the back, one on the side, and then your dipstick tube right there. Put those on, and then we're gonna put these push rods in, rocker arms, get the exhaust hooked up, and go from there. All right, guys, for these rocker arms, obviously you put the push rods in their holes. These rocker arms go on top of it. This part with the ball is where it goes to the push rod up on top, and this part is where the valve spring seats. Put it this way, tighten that 8mm bolt down. If yours is gonna push down the spring when you're tightening it down, and the torque spec is 22 foot-pounds. If yours is gonna tighten down that valve spring and you start to see it go down, you need to rotate the engine over by hand with the crankshaft pulley. I believe it's a 15/16 inch socket. Rotate the engine over until that valve comes back up, and then you can tighten down your rocker arm to 22 foot-pounds, all 8 of them. So do that, and then yeah, we're gonna get this exhaust manifold back on. I'm doing these exhaust manifold bolts, and they're kind of a pain in the butt. A helpful tip is to take your hydraulic jack under the exhaust, pump it up a few times to raise this exhaust so the holes line up, and then go ahead and just work them slow. And if they get bunged up, just loosen them, tighten them, loosen them, tighten them, back and forth. You can even put a little oil on those threads to help them out. But yeah, again, these exhaust manifold bolts suck, but whatever, gotta work it slow and be patient. Got this valve cover on, this insulator right here. Keep in mind where your loom is for the coil packs. Those are going in next, but don't plug them in until the intake gets put in. But nothing special about this, guys. You know how to put it back together. Just do the reverse of what you already did. No special tips or tricks. I'll see you when the truck's put back together. Guys, engine's back together. Serpentine belt is back on. That is so stupid that they made it a stretch belt like the AC one. I mean, come on. Anyway, top off your coolant, and let's do an oil change, then we'll go for the first start. All right, guys, we're gonna do the first start. We just did the oil change, put an oil change sticker in it, topped off the coolant, double check everything's plugged in. Without starting it, prime the fuel rail a couple times like this, put it in the on position. Go ahead and do that a few times. It may not start right away, it might crank for a few seconds, but let's do this first start. Go ahead and turn the AC off for now and turn the air off. And clear these codes. Also have your scanner hooked up. Have your scanner hooked up, obviously, so you can be reading codes. Alright, guys, it's been running about 10 minutes. I just put all my tools away. I'm ready to go on a test drive here with my scanner hooked up so I can monitor as I'm driving. I topped off the coolant. Probably needs a little more because it's going to drink as it heats up. So go on a nice drive and monitor it. It's the drive on this thing, guys. No lights on the dash. Thanks for watching.